Well, thousands of Israelis are protesting in Tel Aviv, demanding Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu reach a deal to end the war in Gaza and secure the release of captives still held there. Many of the captives' families accuse Prime Minister Netanyahu of sabotaging a potential agreement with Hamas and putting the lives of their loved ones at risk. Let's speak now to Hamdah Salhut, who's live for us in Amman. She's there because the Israeli government has banned Al Jazeera from reporting inside Israel and the occupied West Bank. Hamdah, you're covering those protests for us. What are we expecting today?
Well, family members of captives still held in Gaza say that Netanyahu has essentially torpedoed any sort of chance they had or saw coming to a potential ceasefire deal and seeing the release of their loved ones from Gaza. Israeli officials, remember, earlier in the week had authorized the strike on the Qatari capital, Doha, targeting Hamas officials. And these protests tonight are the first widespread demonstrations since that attack. So what these family members are saying now is that if they didn't believe it before, people should believe it now, that Netanyahu is not interested in a deal, that the Israeli government is not interested in a ceasefire and not even interested in negotiations. And all this comes as the Israeli military is intensifying its attacks on the Gaza Strip, saying that it's going to move forward with this occupation of Gaza City, even though there's been so much criticism, so much international pushback. The Israeli government maintains that military pressure is the best way to bring about the release of the captives, even though a vast majority of those who have been released from Gaza have been brought out through diplomatic means and ceasefire deals.
Many thanks for that update. Hamdah Salhut there for us in Amman. Let's get more on this with Maoz Inon, an award-winning peace activist whose parents were killed in the Hamas-led attacks on southern Israel on October the 7th. He is also working with Palestinian activists to stop the war and release hostages. He joins us from Binyamina in Israel. Many thanks for joining the programme. Now, Qatar has helped mediate two previous ceasefires, which has led to the release of 148 hostages. Do you believe your government's actions, the strike on Hamas negotiators in Qatar this week, has jeopardized future negotiations to free the remaining captives?
Malin, good evening, and thank you for hosting me in your show. I was listening to your reports from Gaza, and I want to share with you and with all your viewers and with the people of Gaza that I'm crying with them. I'm crying with them, and I'm crying with my parents. My father was supposed to celebrate his 80th birthday today, September 13th. And my daughter is celebrating today her 14th birthday, and she is now demonstrating in Tel Aviv, calling to stop the war, stop the bloodshed, stop the killing, and end the violence once and for all. From the moment I lost my parents, I was saying publicly that there is a similarity between the Israeli government and Hamas. Both are dehumanizing the other side and are willing to sacrifice their own civilians and people just in order to stay in power. And unfortunately, 2 years has passed since October 7th, and the situation is the same. Both Hamas, both the Israeli government, considering us as numbers, maybe not even as number, just as disposable human beings, and they care nothing about us. And this is the situation. So, of course, the bombing and the Israeli attack in Doha was just another step in this path of never-ending war and continuing the bloodshed.
Maoz, can I ask, in your view, has Prime Minister Netanyahu ever genuinely intended to reach a ceasefire agreement, or do you believe the negotiations were used for other purposes?
They were used just for him to stay in power, because the moment there will be a ceasefire and the war will stop and there is going to be a diplomatic horizon, it means that the Israeli Prime Minister and government will lose their power, and the coalition will break down, and he will not be the Prime Minister anymore. Our government thrive over blood, over war of revenge, and over the sacrificing their own people and, of course, the Palestinian in Gaza and in the West Bank.
Is it just your government, though, or is it the wider public in Israel? There have been recent polls in the last few days suggesting that over half the Israeli public supported that strike on Qatar, despite knowing that it could undermine ongoing ceasefire negotiations. What does this reveal, in your opinion?
This reveals that we are trapped within this war. And it means that we must have the international intervention in order to bring a ceasefire and end of the violence and the bloodshed. This is why I'm calling everyone who listen to us and see this show, we must act now. Because if someone thinks that the fire will stay here in Gaza, Israel, and the West Bank, they are totally wrong. The fire will go throughout the Middle East. And like the fire took the Nepalese government, even though it's Asia, the Nepalese government down. If anyone thinks if he's a policymaker or is sitting in power and think that he won't be affected from the devastating situation and devastating war that Israel is waging upon Gaza and the Palestinian, is wrong, because the ripple effect will reach everyone through the region. And this is why I'm calling mostly the government and the regime and the countries, the Arab nations and the Muslim nation, to act now through diplomacy, through forcing the UN Security Council, leveraging and pressuring the US and Europe to act now to bring this war to an end before it will be too late, not just for the poor Palestinians and Israelis, but for themselves.
You have been an anti-war voice right from the start. When you see what Gaza is today, 2 years on, the devastation, the suffering of its people, and what they've endured and continue to endure, is everything you feared come true?
Yes, it's devastating. I said from exactly like I shared with day one that war is not the answer, that war has never been the answer, and war will not be the answer. That the Israeli government will sacrifice the hostages to stay in power, and that Hamas will do everything it can to stay in power, and that they are both thriving. It's 2 years has passed, and both Hamas and Israeli government are in power. But we lost so many lives. So many Palestinians, so many Israelis lost their life just for them to stay in power. So unless there will be international intervention, I'm afraid what we're going to see in the future is behind our imagination, and we're going to miss and miss the last 2 years, because the future will be darker. But I want to also say, today we're also marking the 25th, if I'm not wrong, or the 22nd anniversary of the Oslo Agreement, where two brave leaders, Yasser Arafat and Yitzhak Rabin, decided to choose the path of reconciliation and peace, and leave behind them the path of fighting and war and bloodshed. And we can do it again, and we will do it again. And I also want to say that the civil society, the peace camp in Palestine and Israel, is active, is working day and night to envision and create a different future than what those are in power nowadays are envisioning for us. And soon in September 21st, it's the International Peace Day. We're going to do a peace march and a peace gathering, Palestinian-Israeli peace gathering in the city of Nazareth, the largest Palestinian city within Israel. We're going to call to stop the bloodshed, to stop the war, and choose a different path, the path that we all deserve, the path of equality, the path of dignity, the path of reconciliation, safety, healing. We here in the Middle East and between the river to the sea deserve a better future. And if there are no leaders that can provide and create this future, we from the civil society, we're going to create, and we are already creating this future. Israelis and Palestinians are on the same side.
Yep.
We are on the same side of humanity, and it's time to prove it again.
Maoz Inon, award-winning peace activist whose parents were killed in the Hamas-led October the 7th attacks on southern Israel. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
Don't miss out. Get the full picture. Subscribe to Al Jazeera for reliable news, expert insight. Like, share, stay ahead.